So if you were around in the 90s like I was, there's a solid chance that you remember the massive Nintendo versus Sega war that was going on. They had their two mascots at the front of that war, which was none other than Mario and Sonic, that we both find around to this day. We saw marketing campaigns from Sega directly taking shots at Nintendo with slogans like "Genesis does what Nintendo don't." It seemed like each respective Sonic installment and Mario installment were essentially trying to outdo each other. Now, yes, 2D Sonic games have that fast, almost feel like you're gonna run off the screen type of feeling to them, where Mario is a little bit more calculated on the platforming aspects of things, but they kind of had that same general appeal to mass audiences, and Sonic started to become the cool character, appealed to a slightly older demographic, and that's some of what Sega targeted with their system. Mario, however, pivoted into the 3D era very nicely with Super Mario 64 and continued to have smash hit success releases after that. And if you look at Sonic's history, he definitely started to fall off with consistency in quality 3D titles. And in today's environment that we are in now, we once again have a 2D Mario and now a 2D Sonic game that will be releasing right around the same time window due to some new retail listings, as well as the most recent Nintendo Direct, where we learned that Super Mario Wonder was back. And I want to discuss the implications as a fan to have Mario and Sonic go head to head with their mainline return to form 2D games in 2023, and talk about what us 2D platforming fans should be looking forward to the rest of this year when it comes to Sonic and Mario games. What's up, nation? Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notification if you haven't already. And as mentioned, guys, today I want to discuss the modern battle of Mario and Sonic. Now, it's a little bit different than it was back in the day because, of course, Sega is no longer in the hardware market any longer. They effectively were put out of business with the release of the Dreamcast, which, to be fair, was a fantastic system, maybe a little bit ahead of its time, and didn't have all of the games and momentum behind it that it needed to compete with the new entering Sony PlayStation and N64 at that time. But Sega and Nintendo have a very storied history. And while now you see Sonic games released on Nintendo hardware, it's not quite the same head-to-head battle that it used to be, but I found it rather funny when we got the following article over on VGC that details when Sonic Superstars will release. And now I'm looking at this realizing that in 2023, Nintendo and Sega are back head-to-head in a 2D platformer battle, and they're leading the charge once again with their mascots Mario and Sonic. As you can see, the following article posted up on VGC, which reads, Sonic Superstars will seemingly release just 3 days before Super Mario Bros. Wonder. The two iconic mascots look set to go head-to-head all over again. As reported by Sonic Stadium, a listing on US retailer Target's website says the game's release date will be October 17th. This was later given further weight when an October 17th release date was also spotted on the game's listing on retailer GameStop. If the date is accurate, it means Sonic and Mario will be going head-to-head with Super Mario Bros. Wonder, releasing just 3 days later on October 20th. Target's listing also notes that the game's pre-order bonus will be a Lego Eggman, or Robotnik if you're from the 90s like me, in-game character skin, as well as an acrylic display stand and a reversible game cover. Both games feature traditional side-scrolling 2D gameplay, and both include co-op play for up to 4 players for the first time in Sonic's case. So as someone who has grown up enjoying each and every mainline 2D Mario release, every mainline 2D Sonic release, and even many of the mainline 3D releases from both series, it is exciting to see this head-to-head clash return, and it's not really so much a direct threat competition like it was when Sega and Nintendo were fighting to survive in the mid and early 90s, but now it is more an environment where the more Sonic sells on Nintendo Switch, the better for Sega, but they are very similar games. If you look at the gameplay side by side with Sonic Superstars and Super Mario Bros. Wonder, you might see a lot of similarities because, in my opinion, when I first saw Sonic Superstars unveiled at Summer Game Fest, the first thing that popped into my mind was, wow, they are doing what Nintendo did for 2D Mario with the new Super Mario Bros. Formula, where 4 people can play at the same time. It's a classic return to form of what you knew and loved from the classic era of 2D Sonic games, but they modernized it with 3D textures and more elaborate backgrounds and of not that pixel art style. They brought 2D platforming into the modern era for Sonic, and I was a huge fan of that. Now, I have been enjoying the 2D Mario releases that have been released over the years, but like many, I found myself from playing through the original New Super Mario Bros. On the DS all the way to New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe on the Switch today, that was originally, of course, the Wii U game. Anyway, those games, while all is super enjoyable, seem to kind of hit a tipping point with their creativity. It feels like if you play New Super Mario Bros. On the Wii or even the DS for that matter, and then you go through and play the latest installment, that they're relatively the same in terms of level structure, how they're designed, the general concept, and even graphics of the games. If you upscale the resolution from the DS New Super Mario Bros., it looks very similar to the New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe that we got ported to the Switch, and while there's minor improvements, they've really stuck to that same formula for too long in my personal opinion. And then we got that bombshell trailer at the most recent Nintendo Direct for Super Mario Bros. Wonder, where they added in things like rail grinding. They have all types of unique levels, and the way that you interact with the enemies and the characters in the levels has altered drastically. These wonder flowers, or whatever you gather in the game to essentially make you go on a mushroom-like trip that Mario is actually eating the mushrooms apparently, but in the game in real life, that's literally what it looks like. Things come to life, pipes are dancing around, rain's coming from the sky in all different directions. It's kind of chaotic, and it's actually really creative. Once again, you have Mario extending his actual character size and Goombas morphing around as well, and I mean, he turns into a freaking elephant in the game. So I don't know if they just said, go Nintendo Mario team, no restrictions on whatever you can come up with, just go be creative and give us a brand new 2D Mario experience. That's what they are doing. Nintendo is now further evolving the 2D Mario formula, and I can't wait to play it when it's out on October 20th. But now I have a dilemma, because just 3 days before that, I will also be picking up Sonic Superstars, which, to be fair, looks incredible for Sonic as well. Now, I will be curious to see if, for the long-term outlook of both 2D Mario and 2D Sonic, if we get these games developed alongside of the 3D counterparts fairly regularly. Every few years is a nice cycle. When you stop and look around and you realize that it's been since 2017 since we've had the last mainline 3D Mario game. Granted, we did have Bowser's Fury. That's more of a side bonus tech demo type of game, but really enjoyable at that. But if you stop and think about the last time we've had a 3D Mario experience, it's just been too long. So it does make a lot of sense that while Nintendo and even Sega are trying to craft their next giant installment and new adventure in 3D that inherently takes a lot longer, that we have these supplemental 2D platformer versions of the games to play in the meantime. You may remember, if you've been around on the channel for a while, that I've been very vocal about saying I believe there is a market for both of these games. There are definitely going to be a portion of gamers that will only pick up the 3D installments for Sonic and Mario and only pick up the 2D installments for Sonic and Mario. I am somebody who will be picking up all of those installments, but there is definitely a market for both, and it is great news to me to see Sonic and Mario go head to head once again in the modern year of 2023 with their 2D platforming counterparts, and I couldn't be happier to see both of these games. We will definitely be tracking various updates throughout each of them on the channel, so subscribe if you're not already for the future videos to come on Sonic Superstars and Super Mario Bros. Wonder. But if you enjoy 90s style classic 2D platforming, it is back in its heyday, in my personal opinion, with these latest announcements of Super Mario Bros. Wonder and Sonic Superstars. And I want to hear from you guys at this point in the video what your personal thoughts and opinions are on each of these games and the release timing specifically of both of them. Do you find it interesting that in the year of 2023 that we have a 2D Sonic game and a 2D Mario game going head to head? Are you somebody that is interested in one or both of these games? And what do you think of the gameplay that you've seen from each of them from their respective trailers so far? So regardless of your thoughts and feelings on everything we talked about today, I do look forward to hearing from you all in the comments down below before you leave the video, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around this topic. Go watch yesterday's video next if you haven't already, which is on screen right now. Also make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.